Hey guys, welcome back to Harbour Unboxed. Today we have another episode of unboxing boxes. Forgive me if I'm a little foggy this morning. I had a big Sunday yesterday, so it was my dad's 60th, so we celebrated that quite well. And it's made doing this the next morning a little more difficult than usual, but anyway, the show must go on. So, we have 3 boxes to get through today. I've got one big case box down here, or at least I hope it's, well, I think it's a case box, it's quite large. And 2 other boxes here. So we'll start with this one. It looks like it's got a bit of a blowout, so hopefully everything inside's okay. We'll find out anyway. Of course, we're going to start an unboxing boxes episode off with 2 keyboards. Not 1, but 2. And they are the, looks like Cherry brand keyboards, which I've actually never seen myself personally, firsthand. So we have the MX Board 6 from Cherry and the MX Board 3. Presumably both use the Cherry switches. Well, that's interesting. I've never actually seen the Cherry branded keyboards before. Obviously just other keyboards using their switches. This one's very heavy. We'll have a look at the 3 first. I assume this is the cheaper version. I'll look at them, we'll check them out, and then I'll do a quick bit of research to find out pricing and availability and stuff like that, because I honestly know absolutely nothing about these. I didn't even know they were being sent. Oh, obviously it has a detachable cable. Just not detachable from the box. And it looks like probably feet covers. So, standard USB 2 cable there. Some silicon pads. Okay, so we got some low profile keycaps here. Interesting. Okay, they are using the red Cherry switches. Yep, so we got the fold out feet there, and they don't come with the pads pre-installed, so you got to do that yourself to give it a bit of extra grip on the desk. And for those that like to leave the keyboard laying flat on their desk, there's what looks like some silicon pads here to give it some grip, but again, for whatever reason these aren't pre-installed, so that's a bit strange. Not the best job, but anyway. Good enough for an unboxing episode. So there you go. Now if we lay it down flat, it's extremely sticky, that's going nowhere. And with the feet up, it's also pretty sticky, but not as much as the big silicon pads. So it's all plastic construction. Feels like it's reasonably good quality. And yeah, for those that don't like the big tall keycaps, it's sort of like they're sort of somewhere between the normal size keycaps and your chiclets, I suppose. Definitely lower profile anyway. And then you've got a detachable cable, so you don't have to worry about the cable breaking or anything like that, because you can just replace it easily. Dedicated media keys for your volume, mute button. What else have we got? Anything interesting? Windows keys. Doesn't look like there's any alternate functions or a function button or anything like that, so it is a fairly basic layout, but interesting. I'll see what the price of that keyboard is in a moment. Okay, so this one looks like it's a bit more serious. So based on the little manual here, it's backlit. I don't think it's RGB, but it looks like it's got different coloured zone lighting. Probably check that out. Nice big wrist rest. Comes with a soft protective sort of fabric. This is looking a fair bit more serious, this one. I got a braided USB 2 cable this time. Wow, that wrist rest feels really nice. I like that a lot. That's cool. Oh wow, it's magnetic. That's really cool. So this is a steel tab here, and then it looks like we got some powerful magnets just in here. So that's the only point of contact, so as soon as those two get close to each other, they just pull in, and it's strong enough to hold it there, but obviously on your desk, it just lines it up nicely. Wow, I really like this thing already. So we've got, and that's the other cool thing, whoops, just knocked a key off, put it back together. The other cool thing about this is you can just obviously put it down like that, and if you want to leave the wrist rest there and pick the keyboard up, all you do is you just tilt it up like that. So that's cool, or if you drag it on your desk, it comes with it. So That's probably the coolest wrist rest I've ever seen on a keyboard, and I've seen quite a few, as you might imagine. Looks like the cable is potentially detachable. Not sure about that. I'll have to read the manual on that one. I don't want to break it. But yeah, you've got feet on the bottom. These ones have the rubber pads installed. And there's nice cable route channels that go to the far extremes of either side of the keyboard. So that's cool as well. Oh, if I'm sniffing a bit and stuff, excuse me guys, I've got seriously bad hay fever today. Which is weird because it's the coldest day we've had in a while, it's raining, but anyway. Could have something to do with all the alcohol. I hear beer dust is a real thing. Anyway, nice braided cable. Love the wrist rest on this thing. Probably, yeah, I'd have to say that's the best wrist rest, size, comfort, design, the whole thing I've ever seen. So that's really impressive. The keyboard is, again, an all plastic design, which is, so that's fine really. It looks like it'd be reasonably easy to keep clean. It's just got, this is like a silver plastic top, which looks pretty cool. The black keycaps, black plastic underneath. And this is a nice sort of rubberized pad. It's really, really grippy, and it just has the MX sort of ingrained in it over and over again, an MX texture, if you will. I suppose we should check out the lighting. So just as I saw in the manual, it looks like it's got just zone lighting, so it's majority of the keyboard's red, and then we have the Windows key, the function key, and the numlock key all in blue. So I don't know if you can change that. Let's have a look. Okay, so that's the brightness level. It does go quite bright. Well, you can change the Windows key, and you can turn the lighting off if you want. Well, that's cool. When you turn it on and off, it fades up and fades down, so that's a pretty cool effect. Okay, so after a quick consult with the manual, it appears like there are no lighting effects or any fancy stuff like that that the gaming keyboards have, which kind of makes sense because I think this is more of a gentleman's gaming keyboard, and probably for office use and all that kind of stuff where, you know, the backlighting's just a bit easier if you're working at night or in a darker environment, so it's not really meant to be all RGB and flashy and all that kind of stuff, so it's a bit more distinguished. Oh, that's annoying. Straight out of the box, even though it came wrapped in this, the spacebar has a little chunk taken out of it and the light's bleeding through, so that's a bit of a shame. But I mean, other than that, it's a very cool looking keyboard. I really like it. I'll probably replace the one at my desktop with this and give this a go for a while. If I can gently pop out a key here. So again, this has got the red cherry switches, the same as the other one. But yeah, very, very cool office type casual gaming keyboard, which I think will end up on my office PC because I really quite like it. The wrist rest again is just awesome. I love that thing, so I can't wait to give that a really good workout. I'll just quickly see if I can find some pricing info. Okay, so the Cherry MX6, which is this thing, is very expensive. I'm seeing $174 on Amazon. There are offers as low as $146, but yeah, that's in US dollars, so it's a seriously expensive keyboard. And it looks like, I'll just check the other one. So shockingly, it looks like this version is $180. No, it's got, okay, it says offers from $83, so that seems a bit more reasonable. So I'm just looking on Amazon here. I don't know what availability in Australia is like. I'm assuming not good since I've never ever seen them before, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Okay, yeah, so this one is $80 at Newegg, and I'd suspect it's the same at Amazon. So $80 for a fairly good quality, well, it looks like a good quality keyboard. It's obviously got genuine Cherry MX red switches. It probably comes with browns as well. So that's a reasonable price. There's not much in the way of extra features, but it probably comes with a decent warranty. And yeah, it looks like the 6 is $180 US. So that's really expensive. Even though it's got probably what I think is probably the best wrist rest I've ever seen, that's still expensive. I'll just quickly check Aussie pricing. Okay, availability in Australia does seem pretty good, but whether you want to buy one's another question. You're looking at least $270 for the Board 6, and most prices like Scorp Tech, M-Wave, CPL, all the big guys are charging 300 Aussie for this thing. So I struggle to see $300 worth of value there. And this cheaper one isn't in Australia, but it would be over $100 anyway, looking at sort of a conversion. So yeah, good keyboards, but not good prices. Anyway, we may look at them in more depth later. Right, so hopefully that's the keyboards out of the way for this episode. And on to the next box. We'll leave the big one for last. I know what's in this box because it had a shipping invoice, and it's something I've been waiting for a while. But anyway, we'll get into it and we'll talk about it when I get it out. Yep, awesome. It's taken me long enough, guys, but I finally have a Radeon RX 480 4GB graphics card. So I purchased this from Newegg. Bit of an experiment, really. I've been bought from Newegg before, but it was a really good price that I got this for. I'll throw up some pricing information on the screen for you, but basically I got this delivered from the US cheaper than what I could get it for at any of the local retailers. And hopefully it's a fairly reasonable version. I'm sure it will get the most out of the card. Perhaps not in the overclocking department, but certainly out of the box, sort of factory overclocked performance should be good. So let's take a look at it. It is the Power Color Red Dragon version, if that wasn't obvious enough by this point. And as we found recently with all these sort of budgetish kind of cards, apart from the card itself and a quick installation guide, you get nothing else in the package. Not that you should really need anything else. Okay, so it's a decent cooler on there. Nice big fan. It's got a huge backplate. Standard connectivity, you got 3 display ports, 1 HDMI and a DVI port. But yeah, it's a pretty cool looking card. The heatsink on it looks reasonable, not huge, so it'll be interesting to see how that performs temperature wise. But yeah, it was quite cheap for the 4GB models. I can't remember exactly what I paid. Just looking at the shipping invoice here, which is all in US dollars, so not exactly what I paid, but I just went and checked and I paid $273 delivered for this card. That's Aussie, 273 Aussie delivered, which is pretty amazing because when I checked on Static Ice, 330 Aussie was the cheapest 4GB RX 480 listed. So that's a massive discount, at least $60 off, and that's the Static Ice price isn't including shipping, so you'd pay at least $10 if not $20 more for shipping as well. So buying these off Newegg for Aussies seems like the way to go, unless I'm missing something. But yeah, I'm happy with that price anyway for this kind of card. The only thing to be aware of, it did take 2 weeks to arrive. I am in rural Victoria, so that adds a few days on. But I mean, yeah, 2 weeks isn't too bad, especially given the kind of discount that I believe you're getting on this card. One of the reasons why I have bought this, and you know, it's good timing to get it, is because if you guys didn't see last week, we covered the AMD Relive Edition, Crimson Relive Edition driver, which boosts performance slightly in some of the existing games, but adds some cool new features. And yeah, it's a really good driver update from AMD. And I thought, well, with that big driver update, and we've got some exciting product releases coming in January, why not do sort of a December holiday season Christmas GPU comparison update? So basically I've got every current generation GPU, yeah, all of them. And I'm comparing them all performance-wise with the latest drivers in the latest games to see how they stack up and then make some recommendations for any of you guys that are looking at buying a new GPU or graphics card for Christmas. So anyway, that's the Power Color card. I don't think I'll bother reviewing that card. I might do an updated 4GB versus 8GB comparison in the new games. If you recall, Matt did that when the RX 480 first came out, using the BIOS, which could shut off 4 gigs of that VRAM, so you could test the card with just 4 gig accessible or the full 8 gig. And back then we found it made no real difference, which was kind of annoying because it was advertised as being a $200 US graphics card, and then it sort of came out at, well, it was meant to be $240, but it was selling for well above the MSRP for ages, and it sort of killed the excitement for the RX 480, at least for me anyway. I think it did for quite a few people, and I was really disappointed that AMD didn't send out a nice 4GB model to reviewers, because it was way better value, especially at the time of review, because like I said, we found no real difference between the 8 gig and the 4 gig version, but you're paying 20% more, which kind of kills the cost per frame there. But anyway, Now the 4GB card, so we'll see how that stacks up against stuff like the GTX 1060 3GB and even the RX 470. Okay, last up we have a big one. Oh. This is my presumed case. Oh, cool. The new Silverstone KL07. And this is a new product. Let's get into it. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. But yeah, a sleek black case this is. Oh, I left some of the plastic in it. Right, so this case is currently selling, just gone on sale anyway, for 110 Aussie. So, pretty good price, I think. We'll see what it's like inside. Actually, probably makes sense to have a bit of a look outside before we go inside. Okay, so the power button and reset buttons are sort of integrated into this striped panel. On top, if you can see it, we have the I/O panel, which has a pair of USBs, a Type C USB 3 port, and then 2 audio jacks. And then it looks like we've got ventilation up the sides and on top. The front and top panels are plastic, the door panels are steel, and underneath we have 4 feet. Looks like it stands the case just over 100mm off the ground, and a nice removable dust filter for the power supply. Then around the back we have what looks like a 140mm fan, motherboard I/O panel, 7 PCI expansion slots, and the power supply goes in the bottom. So let's get this door off. A lot of sound deadening foam in the side panel here, which feels good quality as well. That should really keep keep the rattles and whirs and all the kind of fan noises and things from escaping from the case too much. It's on the back side as well. And you can see we've got a nice cutout here in the motherboard tray for rear access for installing aftermarket coolers. Both doors are secured by thumb screws, and there you go, you can see the padding there as well on the opposite side door. So they've done the typical, the whole bottom section of the case is closed off, and that's where you'll put your power supply and presumably 3.5-inch drives, but I will check that out in a second. Heap of fans for a $110 case. We've got the 140mm in the rear, so an exhaust fan, and there are a pair of 140mm intake fans up the front here. So that's going to suck a hell of a lot of air in, hopefully keep everything inside cool. Little packet here with screws and stuff, and yeah, so down the bottom, power supply and a pair of 3.5-inch hard drives, or these look like they will support 2.5 as well. And then you've got your 2.5, so probably SSDs can go there. Standard sort of amount of storage for a mid-tower these days. And then there's some nice cable management holes with rubber grommets to keep everything looking neat and tidy. So yeah, pretty simple inside. I mean, the main focus with these Silverstone cases is they like to keep, you know, all the things that usually block airflow, like the hard drives, power supply, all that sort of stuff, and especially power supply cables, down out of the way. And this allows all this area to basically be uninterrupted by anything other than heat sinks. Like you'll possibly have a CPU heatsink here, the graphics card, and all the air flows through nicely and then gets sucked out the back. So you've got a constant fresh air, cool air flow coming right through the case over all the critical components. So that's cool. And it looks like you can also add top mounted fans as well. But anyway, I possibly will end up reviewing this case, so it's a bit of a crazy time at the moment with so much stuff coming up and already so much on. But if I do have time, this is a case I would like to review, because typically the KL series from Silverstone has been really good value, really good performing, nice features. So anyway, we'll look at that probably in the next month or two in greater detail, hopefully sooner, but yeah, like I said, pretty busy. So anyway, on today's episode, we got to finally pick up our first 4GB RX 480 graphics card. So that's cool. I'll probably get benchmarking this afternoon with that. That's about all I can be bothered doing today. After I edit this video anyway. Pair of Cherry keyboards, which look quite good quality. I really love the MX Board 6, the wrist rest, and that's awesome, but the price is, yeah, a bit insane. But anyway, I'll do a bit more research on that and see if I can find better pricing for it. I suspect I won't be able to. But anyway, so yeah, pair of keyboards, graphics card, and a cool case. And the case does seem to be good value. And this, I believe, was really good value through Newegg. So any Aussies wanting an RX 480 for a really good price, I recommend jumping over to Newegg, hitting the drop down up the top to change from US to Australia. And yeah, see if this was the best deal when I bought it 2 weeks ago. I believe it's still there, but I'll check anyway, and I'll throw up a screenshot of what the best buy is there at the moment. Later this week as well, I'll be able to post that Core i3 hyper-threading performance video. I didn't get around to that last week because the AMD Relive, that was I know I've dragged this video out, but that was a funny, painful little story, which I'll quickly tell you guys about. So AMD messaged me early last week and said, we've got this big driver update that's under embargo, we'd like to send through the details, and if you could put something together, that'd be cool. So I said, sure, send the details through, and there was a conference call for it, a briefing, to sort of walk us all through it, so there was no so there was no misunderstandings, which anyway, I missed the call, and there was a small misunderstanding, nothing too drastic. Well, yeah, I could fix it anyway, but basically I just assumed, I didn't even think at all, but I just assumed it was Relive. Didn't even enter my mind that LIVE was pronounced as live or live. I just assumed alive. Yeah, when you're rushing through all this stuff, and I was trying to get all the benchmarks done so I could do the other stuff and then record things that were happening. You saw the video, it was quite in depth. And I went with Relive. And I thought because they were adding, their shadow play type feature, so to record footage live, I don't know, I just went with Relive. And I finished the video and I was getting it all ready, and my wife walked in and she's like, oh, okay, that's cool. Is it Relive or Relive? I was like, what do you mean? Well, she goes, live or live. And I just stared at her blankly, and I was like, oh, crap. Just ruined my day. So I rang up AMD, and yeah, it was Relive. So I'd said Relive about 60 bloody times in that video. So there wasn't really any easy way to fix it. I just spent hours filming it, editing it, putting it all together, and I had to start from pretty much scratch. So that was frustrating, but I got the video done in time. It was up, and you guys have possibly seen it by now. So yeah, there are some of the pitfalls of doing video rather than written, which I've done for more than a decade now. Doesn't really matter how you say it in your head, it's written the same way and it's fine. But yeah, video, you've got to be a bit more aware of those kind of things, so hopefully it won't catch me out too much in the future. But yeah, and video update of The Office, how that's going really well, and I'll have a video for you guys tomorrow with The Office update, so that should be interesting. So anyway, I'm going to stop rambling, because otherwise this video will go out to be about half an hour long, and I have done that before, I think. So anyway, I'm your host Steve, and I'll catch you guys later in the week. Bye.